Hey, okay, well, I thought I would do a reaction video today for the trailer for The First Omen. I know very little about this film. I've looked at some stuff online about it, and I've made the odd couple of notes about things that I've found out about it and images that I've seen about it and so forth. But I haven't seen the trailer yet, so let's go. Okay, so that was the new trailer for The First Omen. To me, it looks a little bit like the Exorcist film that we got recently. What was it, Exorcist Believer? And I think it's going to run into some of the same problems. It's number one, I think it looks too good. I'm not a fan, as I've expressed before, of these very highly colour filtered horror movies. Now, also, the problem with The Exorcist was returning to an old IP after so long. I think that might end up being a problem here as well, because of how well loved the original film, The Omen, is. The trailer looks good for what it is. Looks fine, whatever. But there are some things I don't like about it. A lot of things, really. First off, I don't like that it's a rehash of an old IP. I think it's lazy. Yes, trying to reintroduce a story to a new demographic, a new generation of film goers, is fine. I got no problem with that. But by the same token, I think that if they get it wrong, it can damage the original film a little bit in the minds of people, and ultimately it's unnecessary anyway, because I haven't seen The Omen for years, but I can still remember being affected by it. So it's still an effective film, I would argue, so I don't know if necessarily there's a need to remake it. The other thing I think is that it's kind of disrespectful both to the original film, because there's no need to remake it, at least in my view, and also to the people that made it. There are loads of new horror films that come out that are low budget and could benefit from the kind of money that's clearly been thrown at this one. It looks very good from as a cinematographic standpoint. Apart from that, I think it's just lazy. Are they saying that only the old IPs are scary? And that people that write in Hollywood now can only... are they saying that there's a lack of creativity when it comes to scary movies? Is that what's being implied here? Because, that isn't true. You look at a film like Smile, for example, made either last year or a couple of years ago, and that is one of the more disturbing films that I've seen in recent times, not least because I've had experience with trauma, as probably everybody has at some level. So why not put the money into making films that are new and original and creative, rather than going backwards? I do feel it's a step backwards ultimately. In terms of content, yes, we live in a world that's quite frankly a mess at the moment, but one where science has taken over a lot of the roles that religion once had. Certainly a fear of demons and the devil are still present, and it's still an effective thing to use in a horror movie, of course. I would never argue that. But I think that by making this kind of film now, it may be... It's only a personal belief, but I think it may, for some people, undermine, if you like, their belief in the phenomenological side of life, which absolutely exists. Just because we can't prove it doesn't mean that it's not there. But then again, has the church been controlling in the past? Of course, it still is, to a variety of extents, depending on the era, I guess. And then, of course, there's the whole thing about how they're going to be changing Damien's backstory. So they're retconning some of it as well. So, is there any point making this film? I don't know if there is. Certainly in terms of creativity in Hollywood at the moment, I think possibly one of the more creative films at the moment was Barbie, of all things. I haven't seen Barbie, but it looks new, it looks fresh in a way that, and it's obviously not a horror film, but it looks new and fresh in a way that something like this doesn't, because it's based on a past IP. And I think that's bad. I think it should be moving forward. Creativity can move forward. We don't always have to be looking backwards. Of course, at the end of the day, it is a movie, so the whole idea of what effect it might have on people that watch it is bullshit, frankly, for the vast majority of people. But, it's entertainment at the end of the day, but it can also be a mirror, I think. But having said that, for it to be effective in that way, enough people would have to watch it, and I don't know that this is the kind of thing that obviously a lot of people are going to want to see, but I don't think, especially after the flop that Exorcist Believer was, I don't know that there's going to be a massive audience for this at this point in particular. Also, with religious horror films, what can you do with it, really? I mean, it's either going to be, oh, it's the devil, or it's some other natural phenomenon, or some kind of natural phenomenon, or psychology. So, I mean, the interpretive side of it comes into it, yes, but I don't really see that you can do a lot with religious horror, really, of this kind. With the cult, I suppose you've got a little more scope, but with something like this, I don't see it. It's either going to be, oh well, you know, it was all in a person's head, or it's all a coincidence, or it was all due to some disease or natural phenomenon, or is it really the devil, Satan himself, or a demon of some kind? Now, whichever order those things are put in can change due to the quality of the filmmaking and the story and blah blah, but those are the scope of this kind of film. And I think that instead of making something like this, as I said before, I think that money could be better spent on newer, probably independent projects that could do with a decent amount of money to get stuff on screen. And although obviously there's formulas to every subgenre of not just horror but film, but I think religious horror, particularly Christian horror, given that we know a lot about Christianity living in the West and we're familiar with so many aspects of it, that I can't help thinking the scope is a little bit limited for what you can do with horror in that environment. And then by the end of the film, nobody knows what it was, really. It's either the devil or disease or natural phenomena or psychology. There's no real firm end to a lot of stories like that, so they can end up feeling a little unsatisfactory. Maybe that is the point, though, that question left in the air, the fear of the unknown in that sense. I'm not sure, but certainly based on this trailer that I've seen here, this film will be an easy pass as far as I'm concerned, I'm afraid. So yeah, whether trailers in the future add something to it to make it look more interesting, I don't know. I suspect not. I suspect what will happen is we'll just get trailer after trailer after trailer showing too much of the movie. That seems to be how things are done these days. But that is one thing I do like about this trailer, is that it's short enough to spark an interest rather than showing you exactly what the film's going to be. And also the film's not out till April, so it's possible that some of this stuff might not be in the finished film anyway. So yeah, but yeah, as I say, I'll be passing on this one, I think. Anyway, that has been my review of the trailer for the First Omen. I hope you enjoyed it or found it interesting. Unfortunately, it's rather negative. And thank you for watching, as always. Please like, share, comment and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon. Goodbye for now.